Welcome back to another HEF podcast. That is the podcast of the Home Education Foundation. The Home Education Foundation is an organization that was founded by the beloved Brenda Dickinson and her husband Craig Dickinson in the early 1990s, that is, just after securing a victory in the state of Florida to protect and establish, actually, home education rights directly to the parents. No need to enroll in any other kind of private school or school. The parent has the right directly to teach their own children, recognized in Statute 1002.41 in the state of Florida. We're so thankful for the work that she did, and throughout the years, the next 40 years after that, Brenda worked tirelessly to protect parents' rights in education as we saw threats come that would say parents can't educate their own children unless they can pass a background check first or be on some other approved list. And, well, you're seeing that happen in Connecticut right now, and Brenda fought against that back in the day. We may see that again soon because the way things are trending, there's a lot going on. But then beyond that, we have access to extracurricular activities in public schools, rights as taxpayers that are given to public school students that are also afforded to the tax-paying parents who home educate, dual enrollment, bright futures, all of the opportunities that we have, career and technical courses in public schools. Those are fantastic opportunities. And all of those established and put forth by the tireless effort of Brenda Dickinson over the years. And so we're very grateful for her. We'll put up the slideshow here that shows so many faces throughout the years. Look, there's Tim Tebow. Yes, according to statute, he was able to actually play sports. And that is one of the key reasons we even have Tim Tebow laws in other states popping up to give other homeschool families that same opportunity. And we're also thankful for Brenda, and we're also thankful for the parents in the free state of Florida who throughout the years have done a lot of the work in the community to echo the voice when the need was there. And we're so thankful for you. We're also thankful that you participated in our first fundraiser, our first official annual fundraiser in August of 2025, this past year, in which we had a home education family announce a match challenge. And they offered up $6,000 as a match. If we could get pledged or raised the other six, they would match it. And wouldn't you know, right there at the end of the month, down to the wire, you all came through and we were able to meet that donation match challenge. And so we've started to do that every year. We have another sponsor secured for this year, and we will be announcing a design contest soon in which students from across the state of Florida can submit their own challenge corn. So be brainstorming. It will be themed after this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our country and our freedoms that we love so dearly. So start brainstorming. I will be posting the terms and the details of that soon, and we'll get all of that out to you. But go ahead and let those who are creative know that they have an opportunity here to design something that will be, etched in time as we pass these out to all of the participants and create memories. So we're also thankful to our top sponsors, Arete, FPEA, Fisher Precious Metals, and TBHC Group. We do have the FPEA convention coming up, and then shortly after, the conference from TBHC, the Tampa Bay Homeschool Conference, is coming up. And both of those are fantastic opportunities. If you are feeling lonesome, if you're out of gas, if you're contemplating homeschooling, but you're not quite sure yet, you really should take time and go to one of these conventions or conferences and see all of the faces, see all of the people who for decades or for years, have poured into the home education community. Sure, there's a lot of people who have been popping up lately, a lot of little programs here and academies there and all kinds of really cool pods and learning things. Newcomers, they love money. Everybody loves money. We all need it. Makes the world go around. It's great. But there are those who have been here for a very long time, who have been here since the beginning when Brenda was helping push for the legislation to protect home education rights. And there are those who know. And there is a community of people, veterans, experienced people who have walked that path and gone that journey. And whatever you're facing, that is challenging, there are people who will be there at those conferences and conventions who have been there and done that, and maybe even then some. And you can sit with them and cry with them if that's your cup of tea, or you can talk to them and learn from them, or get their contact information exchanged with them and build community around doing the very thing we were made to do, be parents. Absolutely. All right. Without further ado, welcome to the HEF podcast. Brenda, thank you for being with us today. We've got a lot to get to.
Yes, we do.
How are you? Good.
I'm okay.
Before we die.
Retirement isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Laying by the sea and listening to the waves. I have just worked as hard as I have. But it's all good.
You've had some family things going on, and you've had some issues with your house that you've had to move out and take care of while out. And a lot of people don't know all of the background stuff that we deal with. Yeah. But you know what? Hashtag that's life. And what do you do but keep going, right? Well, I'm glad that keeping going.
Yeah. Eventually I'll get where I'd like to be.
I'm glad that keeping going has you here with us. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to say before we kind of jump into things? There's a lot.
Well, I just hope people don't get discouraged and burned out with home education, because the life values that you're building into your kids cannot be done in another location with somebody else. And you don't have very many years with your children. They go by so fast. So find some help, as Jason said, and don't stress out. Your children are going to learn if they're just with you every single day. It's amazing how much they pick up. So just by being with adults instead of being with peers all day long, they are learning things that you're not even aware that they're learning. And so it's just a blessing to have them at home. And don't stress over math or English. Just read to them and enjoy your children.
Brenda, the worksheets, we've got to complete them.
No worksheets. No.
Yeah.
No, it's all reversed. It's all reversed. They do that in school because they have to have something to grade. But little children learn better when you're doing concrete things with them. Play games with them. Let them count. Let them add at the end of your playing hearts with them, or some other game, or dominoes. And they're learning math. It might not look like what you have in your mind as what's done in a classroom, but good, because it is the way children learn. Concrete and then mental math. And you'll see it when they move from the concrete to the mental. They'll start telling you what the math is, multiplication or division.
Absolutely.
They'll tell it to you. So you know they've moved to mental. And then you can give them worksheets if you want to. Not necessary, but if you want to, they can then do written
You mean we don't
math.
just move them up in August when it's time to move them up to the next move, Brenda?
Well, my children never knew that they were supposed to have a break until they got to the 6th grade and realized their friends were out of
That's
school.
Awesome. So we have had a number of character moments this morning. Let's just call them that. When the challenges to learning come, and it's not about the worksheet, it becomes about the person that they're growing into. And well, let's just say my 6-year-old has presented some interesting challenges today. And as a family, we've dealt with it. But that's the beautiful part of it. My oldest daughter is here for it. My wife is here for it. I am here for it. We're here for it. These aren't things that are happening as he decides whether to become a bully in some other facility somewhere, or he's too bored to sit still and so becomes a troublemaker, or he learns how to get away with this even though he's told to do that, or to raise his hand or not, or question things or don't. We're here for it, for all of it. And I think if there's one resounding message that we just have to keep echoing, it's that home education isn't school. It's not school. And I even had to remind my wife today, like, slow down. Like, it's okay to throw the plan out for today, because these are the most critical parts. And he's at that place. He's 6 and he's smart and he's reading it at a higher level, but he's not my 15-year-old daughter. And he's not my 13-year-old daughter. And he's not my 11-year-old son. And so he's constantly comparing himself and trying so hard and feeling like a failure. And so we're having these moments where we're having to kind of reset and go, hey, look, this is who you are and where you are. But the good news is there's a baby in the house. So I'm like, look, buddy, the baby is dumb. I mean, he's not dumb, but like, he doesn't know half the stuff you know, and you don't know half the stuff they know. So be where you are and progress as you grow, and keep your attitude in check so that you can learn. Because if your mind closes and your heart closes, your learning closes. So keep those open, and it's clicking. It's clicking, but man, to be here for it, right? To see it, to impact it. That's really the irreplaceable moments you can't get back if you ship them off somewhere and abdicate that experience over to someone else. And if there's anything that I agree with in the recent FEA lawsuit, that's the Florida Educators Association lawsuit, the one everyone's talking about. If there's anything that I actually agree with it's that it's not public school. They made that very clear, that we don't fit the uniform standards of all the stuff they go through, and power to us. 1002.41, the home education program looks different on purpose. It's not school. It's not public school. It's not school in any form. Those aren't our uniform standards. Sorry to disappoint you. And if there's anything in the FEA lawsuit I agree with, it's that. We finally find something we agree on, Brenda. Imagine that. Where's my sound? It's amazing. Where's the sound effects? I need the crowd. There we go. Yes. We finally agree. And I don't think anybody's really going to read into it and like see that. But the fact that they're complaining that they have however many pages of regulations and stuff to go through, and all these people using scholarships to teach their children with disabilities and home educate them, well, they don't have to do all that. Like, yeah, we learn in a completely different way. We tailor it, purely customize it to the child. We're not a part of that system of public schools, which is interesting. So we can dive into that later, but I thought that was interesting. I'm like, hey, look, there's the one nugget. There's like one thing we agree on. Look at that. How great. All right. Well, excuse me, pardon my voice. I'm still recovering from whatever it was that flew through the house. Let's dive in. Legislative session is coming up. It's starting tomorrow. They're going to dive into special session, and they're going to start working on things. We don't have much to talk about there. So let's talk about the big thing that hit last week, and everyone was responding to, from Jeb Bush to Paul Renner, the previous Speaker of the House, to Commissioner Anastasios Koumoutsas, and many others, including ourselves. And it's interesting because the lawsuit takes aim at the state, at least in word. So here's a copy of the lawsuit. You can see it up. Sorry, Brenda, you can't see it, but here is a copy of the lawsuit. And it's interesting to me because if you read the preliminary statement, Florida parents wake up each day with a shared purpose to secure a better future for their children through access to strong and reliable education. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I just don't agree with how we deliver it. The Florida Constitution was designed to protect that promise. I agree with that. And in 1998, the people of Florida amended Article 9, Section 1 to require that the state, quote, shall make adequate provision for a uniform, efficient, safe, secure, and high-quality system of free public schools, period, end quote. This mandate is not aspirational, it is binding. We're going to come back to that statement in just a moment. It reflects the basic principle that access to a high-quality education should not depend on where students live, their family's circumstances, or type of school they attend. It must be consistent, dependable, and fair across the state. I don't disagree with that last statement, but let's talk about this mandate that is not aspirational. It is binding. And let's talk about the fact that they put a period. This is so important. Students, if you're paying attention, if you are in learning, this period right here, boy, that's a really important period. That period right there is the end of a sentence, not the end of a quote taken out of context. And so
it should have been dot,
yes,
dot,
it
dot,
could have been
dot.
an ellipsis, as if signifying there is more. It could have been a comma and go on to add something else to the rest of that sentence to kind of make that make sense and fit. And it would have been a little bit more sly if they had done that. But the beautiful thing is they put a period there because there's no period right there in the Constitution. And I want to move over to the Constitution real quick. And I want to talk about this. We're going to go down to Section 9. Article 9 of the Constitution. Where did I go? I was right here at it a second ago. Pardon me while I clear up my dust. There we go. All right. Public education. Here we go. And it states at the beginning of this section, man, I am trying so hard here, but things keep moving. There we go. At the beginning, oh, did I move? I did move. Technical difficulties. Apologies. There we are. Article 9. No. There we go. My word. This is zooming in and out is proving to be a little bit more challenging. I'm just going to leave it small. The education of children, this is how the beginning of the section begins, is a fundamental value of the people of the state of Florida, period. It is therefore a paramount duty that the state make adequate provision for the education of all children residing within its borders. Adequate provision shall be made by law for a uniform, efficient, safe, secure, and high-quality system of free public schools. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the period does not come in. Free public schools that allows... I keep messing up my place here. That allows students to obtain a high-quality education and for the establishment, maintenance, and operation of institutions of higher learning and other public education programs that the needs of the people may require. Now, I don't know about you, but and all in one sentence versus ending it with a period, you gotta wonder why. You gotta wonder why you would end the sentence in a period if the sentence doesn't actually end in a period right there. Brenda, what do you think?
I think they were trying to stretch a point for their
perhaps
lawsuit.
Make a point that can only be made by ignoring the rest of the statement. Yeah.
Right. So they want to infer by putting the period there that the only option is public education.
Schools. Yeah. Yes.
Public schools.
Yeah. I agree with you. That's pretty much very clear that that's exactly what the attempt is. It's frustrating, though. It's frustrating because on the one hand, they say, oh, we're just trying to do the right thing. We're just trying to provide a service. We're just trying to do. It doesn't seem genuine when your lawsuit, the very premise of your lawsuit, the citation of the Constitution and the following options as unconstitutional, it seems very disingenuous when you haven't even quoted the Constitution correctly or fully. You've decided to cherry pick a phrase that just fits what you wanted to say. You just pretend like the sentence doesn't exist. I was talking to the kids about this, and I'm like, it's like if we quoted, we the people, and we just stopped there. We didn't finish reading we the people, fine, we didn't continue reading. We just stopped at we the people and go, see, the government is we the people, and we can therefore do whatever we want to do. That's what it means. And we start to take liberties to interpret it. But there's so much more to that document, and there's so much more to this document, and we don't even have to read paragraphs. It's in the same sentence. It's the exact same sentence. It's not like we have to go scouring to put section, you've got 1006.15 where sports are, and then you've got 1011, what is the section for parental rights? It's 10, I have it here, so I didn't have to memorize it. No, 1014. 1014.04, parental rights. You've got that one. And then you've got 1002.31 for open enrollment, for other aspects of the processes and procedures. It's not like that. It's not like you're having to puzzle it all together and flip pieces over and then go, oh, I forgot about this reference over here. Now when you interpret it this way, it means no. No, just finish the same sentence. Just complete the breath that you began. And there it is, right there, and other public education programs that the needs of the people may require. And this is so critical. This is so critical. We go into this at length, by the way, on our website. If you're not familiar, it's flhef.org. And if you hover over information and you go to our blog, you'll find that we cover things as they happen during legislative session and do updates on things that are very important. And you'll find this one here. FEA raises Cain over parents' choices. And you're in this article, in this breakdown response, you're going to find copies that will link you to the lawsuit so you can read it for yourself. You don't have to even take what I'm saying. Just read it for yourself. If you want to sit with your kids as a home education exercise and compare it, it's a wonderful opportunity, especially if you're in debate. This is a perfect opportunity if you're in debate to take this claim and analyze the claim with the sources and see what you think. In fact, I would love, if there are any home education students out there, I would love to hear you take their claim from the lawsuit, analyze it for yourself, come into our Discord and post your thoughts in our Discord channel for debate. I would love to hear from you. I would love to see what you have to say. So beyond that, there's links to the Constitution itself so that you can go read that for yourself. There are links to the Supreme Court's rules of interpretation because they violate some of the rules of interpretation to do this. And there are links to that. And there are links to the statutes that set up parental rights and discuss what those are and that they shall not be infringed upon. And the reason why we focus on parental rights is because this is not a lawsuit against the state. The FEA has forgotten that public schools exist because taxes and the initiative of the people dictate that they exist to serve a purpose. And that purpose that they serve is stated in the Constitution. The education of children is a fundamental value of the people of Florida. See, the schools exist to serve the people of Florida and to provide education for those students as they take our taxes to do so. And not the other way around. We do not exist to supply a surplus of funding for schools because somebody got a degree and decided that's what they wanted to do with their life. And no, we prop that up for them. This isn't the hierarchy. And we have to be diligent parents in reminding the officials that they are in positions of service. I've heard superintendents even speak about how they run the largest business in their county. It's the school system. And it's not a business, and I can prove it to you. It's not a business because it doesn't have customers. It doesn't sell a product, and people don't have choices. If they had a choice of which product to buy with their money, then it would be a business. But it's not. It's mandatory attendance, that they pursue some sort of attendance track, and we have been able to get other attendance options made viable. And they don't like that because they view us as propping them up, not as serving the needs of the people of the state of Florida. They are providing a service. This is long since forgotten. We're so born into this. It's a part of the system. It's the default mindset. We have completely, as a society, lost track of who's in charge. The children are yours. You gave birth to them. They are yours. They do not belong to anyone else. The decisions are yours. Their health decisions are yours. Their education decisions are yours. Their good choices and their bad choices are yours. You are the parent. And it's time, listen, even if you're not a home education parent here, if you're a public school parent, you should be offended by this lawsuit. You should be offended by this because it's a complete attack on your rights as a parent to be the one making the choices. And it accepts their default mindset that they exist no matter what, and you serve them because they know everything and they're the experts, and you exist to make their lives more comfortable, and they should get more pay. It's completely backwards. It's completely backwards. And we have to be diligent in standing up and speaking to that. If you haven't seen our article, by all means, go check it out. It's worth the read. It's worth the share. And I would ask that you do that. This is a great opportunity for home education families to do, just start talking about civics, start talking about the way things work. Lawsuits. How can a lawsuit this frivolous even be brought is one question I had to a friend of mine who's an attorney, because I'm not an attorney. There's my disclaimer. I'm not an attorney. So these are all things that me as a person with a brain reading and knowing how to read can do, and you can too. And that's funny because my friend who is a lawyer would say the same thing. He's like, well, you have a brain and you can read, so you can get it too. I'm like, thank you. But he'll often say that this is the game, that lawsuits like this there are a lot of them, and they're frivolous. So then if it's frivolous and they know it, if they've taken a quote out of context and that's obvious, who's it not obvious to? And why do it? What's the point? What are you getting at? What's the goal? I'll tell you what I think the goal is. I think the goal is to stir up public outlash. All of the people who don't understand the intricacies of FEFP funding. They don't understand that FESUA is a scholarship. And in their complaint, they cited FESUA as a scholarship that parents can use for instruction and tutoring. You know what they didn't mention? Therapies. The very purpose and core reason for the existence of the FESUA scholarship is when you have a student with a diagnosed disability and that student needs customized care that the public schools have demonstrated themselves to be not equipped at delivering. You as a parent can take your student and you can customize their learning. You can customize their care. You can customize their therapies. You can get them speech help that they need. I have watched some of these families do tremendous things with these scholarships, and it boils my blood to watch this be misquoted and misrepresented. If they were doing such a great job, parents would be choosing them. And they don't like that parents have a choice. They don't like that these opportunities have emerged. So even if you're not a home education family, you're a public school family, public school parents, you should be offended at this because they're implying that you don't know any better and you shouldn't have any choices, even if they deliver poor results over and over again. Even if their graduation rates are low, so they dumb down the standards so they can graduate more students and put their numbers back up where they want them to be so they can pretend like they deserve to be paid. Even if that's the case, you should be offended at this. There's a lot here to unpack. I've put together a couple of
I think the main thing that they dislike is that when the students exit the system, they lose
that's point
money.
One.
Because the head count at 2 times during the year is what determines how much money that district is going to get for educating the children that chose to stay in the public system.
Yeah, I have a visual up on the screen, actually, that says exactly that. That was point one. I've been monologuing. No,
I couldn't see that.
No, you're
I
good.
can't see
I've been
that.
monologuing my intro and then jumping around, and I thought we should just get to the points. Brenda, you're dead on. Because when parents exercise their choice and choose not to put their students in those schools because they don't want to, which, by the way, they've been exercising fiercely since COVID without money. I know so many families who've decided to just say, I don't care about the funds. I don't want my kids there. Thanks, but no thanks. And they've left, which is why the number of students who have left doesn't keep up with the number of scholarships that they offered. Let that one sink in. But that's the first ill, is they're upset that they don't have enough butts in seats to get enough of the funding to pull down from the FEFP. The second one is that they didn't finish the sentence. The whole entire lawsuit is a quote out of context, withholding the rest so they can be for you what they want you to see. They completely disregard the end of that sentence, which says other public education programs that the needs of the people may require. That FESUA scholarship, do you think the needs of those students require that? I do. I've seen it. I've seen parents have a student that the doctors told them that he wouldn't talk. And there wouldn't be much he would learn how to do. And this kid, he's not a kid anymore. This young man now has grown up, and she sent video of him saying his own name in speech therapy. He has learned to sail because sailing on those sailboats was a form of therapy for him that physically contacted the world for him and unlocked everything. And he just became absorbed into it. And there's a local club that actually has a whole day of awareness for students like him, in which lots of students participate in learning how to sail because of him. I've watched parents with similar situations get the different therapies that they need, and they go, you know what, he just wasn't doing well in that system and sitting there and doing that. And they pull him out, and they do what their right by statute is to customize the education for their student. They make their own path. They do what works for them. And it works. It works. So
notice the difference between the state is required to provide a system of free public schools. And then there are programs, home education program, the FESUA, the personalized education program. Those are all programs that the state has developed to meet the needs of the students. It's not a system.
Brenda, you've moved to my next point, which is wonderful. I love that our brains are linked. This is great. This, I know you can't even see them. This is fantastic. Key issue number 3 is in uniformity. That system that she's talking about, that with the uniform standards that they gripe about in the lawsuit, about we've got 1,400 pages of regulations and standards, and those private schools in charge, they only have 20 pages. Where? It's like, okay, we hear you. We hear you. But there's a difference between that uniform system and the other programs, as Brenda pointed out. And the funny thing about that is, if your claim is that funding all of these other options is unconstitutional, and your claim is that they don't have to follow the same uniform system of standards, well, if they did, wouldn't they all magically turn into and convert to public schools? Wouldn't that literally be the only thing that existed, would be public schools? So that very claim of the other public education programs is superfluous. Why even have it in there if the only thing you're going to fund are the options that are the public schools? And then if it doesn't look like a public school, it's unconstitutional to fund it. What an absolute mind-blowing claim. The only thing that would exist would be public schools. If you can pretend that the rest of the Constitution doesn't exist either.
Exactly. Well, the other thing is, private schools are not held to those same standards, but they're allowed in Florida statutes. So the uniformity does not apply to anything that's not a public
school. The error
school.
that they've made here is the word uniformly, or uniform, is not talking in an external comparison from public schools out to the other options. It's talking internally that the system itself needs to be uniform with itself and fair and safe. Let's not get started on safe. Let's not get started on safe. I had a parent send me a reel. It was just a slideshow, and I have dared to think about posting it or putting it up, but it's essentially a reel of slideshows of just news statements about this abuse from this teacher, this abuse from that coach, this abuse from this principal. Oh, we discovered this person was abusing, and it's disheartening. That's
molesting,
embezzling. Yes, and it's disheartening. So I haven't posted it because I don't really want that associated with this argument. But man, to sit there and claim to be the only option that we should be able to constitutionally fund, and to have such a glaring beam in your eye of issues, lose me on that. Finally, and this is the one I've been harping, I kind of started on this one instead of finally, but the issue that I take with this, the fourth issue, is they completely ignore the key beneficiary at the very beginning of Article 9 in the Constitution, which is the children and the parents. The children are the key beneficiaries of the educational initiative. The parents are also the beneficiary because it's their decisions to make. The public schools are not the beneficiaries. We don't exist to prop them up. They exist to provide a service. And as the parent, you have full authority. In statute, you have full authority, and those rights shall not be infringed. And someone wants to infringe on them. They want to take away all of the choices that the legislature has sought fit to fund because the needs of the people require it. Those students with disabilities require it. Parents who want to exercise their choice because their kid isn't flourishing in that environment, regardless of how high of a quality education they think it's giving them, isn't working. People are graduating and not being able to read. I don't know if you've seen that one floating around. That has gone viral online lately. There's a video of a student who took video, and they talked about expelling this student. He took video of his classmates and asked them to read a sentence. They couldn't read it. They couldn't make their way through it. It's embarrassing. And then he did another one and asked them what it meant. And they were like, yeah, man, I don't know. And we're talking a third grade reading level. We're talking super simple stuff. And these are high schoolers preparing to graduate. They can't read this stuff. Dare I say that it's intentional dumbing down of your children so that they're easier to control? I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. This kind of makes me want to be one. Why else are you trying so hard to make sure that you're the only viable option to be funded and the product that you pump out is so mediocre? Rank 31st in the world in education, the United States does. Rank 31. What business do you know that exists and comes in 31st in its industry? The government just decides, man, you deserve to be propped up. We're going to subsidize you. Not only are we going to subsidize you, we're going to turn you into the only available option and give you a monopoly. No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it because it's not a business, and the superintendents are wrong. They don't run the largest business in the county. They run the largest monopoly in education in the county. And the legislature, over the last several years, has saw fit to empower parents to find ways to take the system and allow parents more flexibility. Things that keep up with advances in technology. My, I have started to see, and I'm not talking about screen time. There's arguments about screen time. Let's just get beyond that. But I have seen the advances that come with, oh, you want to know this? Google it. How many hours a day do our kids sit in a classroom because they have to be in a classroom learning something they could have learned with a simple Google search? We don't even have to talk about screen time and the issues of screen time or digital devices or technological trends or AI. Let's just put all of that aside for a second and just focus on the fact that there are hours of learning time in the day lost to dead time when they could have just Googled it. Where there's a YouTube video of somebody teaching that piece of math, or there's a YouTube video talking about this other unique thing that's interesting to them, and then they extrapolate out a learning piece over here. There is so much that our technology has brought to bear in our system. Some would call it tried and true. I would call it archaic. The experiment is a long experiment, and it's coming to an end, I believe. I believe parents are waking up to the fact that there's a world of information out there, and it's at our fingertips. Why does my kid have to be locked in this place with yard time? Am I preparing them for a future of being locked in a place with yard time? What is this? There's so much more to life. Nay, you have no options. You must only fund us. We are the only constitutionally available option. I don't agree with that. I think they're off, way off here. They have missed the mark. Parents have weighed them, and they have been found wanting, and they do not like that, which makes this an emotional outburst, essentially. I mean, like, I don't like that you didn't pick me, and this is why I compare it to Cain, because Cain and Abel both offered sacrifices, and God didn't like Cain's. I don't know why. He just didn't. But then he goes to him and he says, hey, let's have a heart-to-heart. I see you're angry, but you got to know, if you do a good job, you'll get picked. So he goes and kills his brother. Because that's the next logical conclusion, right? No, that's an emotional outburst, which is very similar to what the unions are doing right now. They're having an emotional outburst, and they're trying to kill all of your choices as a parent. This doesn't have anything to do necessarily with being a homeschool parent. This has something to do with being a parent. There's a reason why they're fighting in the legislature, every single time there's a committee that Senator Grahl runs her bill where parents are given the right to opt out. And then she says, no, we want to run the bill so that the parent has to opt in. And that if the parent doesn't choose it, the school can't automatically do it. Oh man, the unions show up in droves. They fight that hard. There's a reason why they fight that hard. Put 2 and 2 together. They don't like you in control. They don't like you being the parent. They want to be the parent. And they don't think you're certified to be the parent because they have a certification that they doggone worked real hard for. So they're a certified parent and you're not. So you don't know enough to teach your own kids. Listen, at once upon a time, public schools made sense. Like once upon a time, there was a place where Google didn't exist. There was a place where the internet was hard to get. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and we didn't have a computer in the home that had internet access right away. Some of my friends did. We didn't. We had cordless phones. You know, there was a period of time where to get information, you had to know the Dewey Decimal System and go to a public library and look things up. There was a time when information about what was being studied and researched wasn't readily available to the common person. And so these institutions of higher learning were put in place to coalesce that information and bring it together so that people could learn from it and have it. Well, wow, isn't that cool? And we're going to take this and package it so that it can be taught here and be taught there. And we'll have teachers trained so that they can be trained to be able to teach that stuff. And that's great. Once upon a time, it was needed. Once upon a time. We don't live there anymore. We don't live there. We live in the now. We live in the now. The information is at your fingertips. The world is your classroom. And the freedom to be the parent in statute and in Constitution is yours. It belongs to you, and don't you let anybody take it. I think I'm done. Excuse me. Brenda, you have sat quietly while I monologue like a Disney villain.
Well, I think you have to realize one of the points that you made about them not being a business is that they have to come to the legislature every year and beg for money because they don't make money. The public school system does not make money. Now, private school, on the other hand, parents who can afford pay to send their children there, and the school itself makes money or it doesn't exist the next year. So the teachers get paid based on what the school can afford to pay them. The teachers union exists to lobby for higher teacher pay. However, they also control who gets the money. So the principals, the bureaucrats get the money that the legislature tries to give to the teachers. I have watched over and over arguments coming down where the legislators are trying to pay teachers more money. And the unions come in and say, no, we don't want you to pay them more money. We want you to give us more money so we can decide who gets paid more money. So their control, they want to determine who benefits in that system and who doesn't. And yes, the principal has a great deal of responsibility, but how many other bureaucrats are sitting in those administrative offices that are getting paid high salaries, and the teachers are not given that money, and they continually scream about, we don't pay our teachers enough. Well, that's your fault. It's the fault of the unions that teachers aren't paid more. So there's a lot of issues with unions, and the legislature has to work with the unions, which is unfortunate because a lot of the legislators realize teachers do a good job and they work hard and they put in a lot of hours and they want them to be paid more money, but they don't ultimately have the control with the system set up like it is. So yes, the unions want to control teacher pay, student learning. They want to control what your child is exposed to in the public school. And if you don't exercise your parental rights, and you don't have to pay a private school, you can homeschool on a dime.
Yep.
Literally. There are so many free resources out there that, like Jason said, if you've got the internet, you can have access to programs that
there's a lot.
Khan Learning.
There's a lot. I don't want to promote any, but there's a lot.
But they were one of the first out there. That's why I'm mentioning them. But that's free. It's free. And there's other programs out there that are free as well. And your child can learn math through that. You don't even have to have an expensive math book.
Yeah.
So, you can homeschool your child and follow that child's interest. Just build him up. If he's interested in dinosaurs, pursue dinosaurs until he's sick of them. And says, I'm going to learn something else. Or, whatever the child is interested in. Because as Jason said, the facts are out there. We cannot bombard our children with all the facts that are out there. They're going to learn a certain thing. And the main thing they need to learn is to read and to do basic math. And as their life moves forward with the need to go to law school or medical school or whatever it is, maybe an architect, you're going to have to learn more math. You're going to have to learn the stuff that is required for you to get into that profession. If a child's interested, they'll learn it. They'll learn it.
Yeah.
I've watched it.
Absolutely. I want to touch on something that you said, you made me think of, that we should say that our response here is not an attack on teachers. There are a lot of well-meaning teachers, like Brenda said. There are a lot of really good teachers who do a great job. They sacrifice, they take personal effort, they take money out of their own pockets, and they try to do right by those kids. And to that, I would say, if you do well, will you not be accepted? There is a time and place that is coming, I believe, in which more choices and options are opened up. I'm not crazy myself about all of the micro school options and all of the program options that have exploded everywhere. There are a lot of them that have just popped up and haven't stood the test of time. But what's really interesting is that there are a lot of them that are valid opportunities for teachers who do well to succeed, to step out of that system and to go, hey, you know what? I think I can do this on my own. To the tune of parents taking that scholarship and hiring that teacher, and you get 10 of those students in a little pod or a little group. Man, there you go. You just got a raise. And if you do well, will you not be accepted? If you're working with those parents and those students and they're doing a good job and it's working and they're getting a high quality education, where is the harm in that? The unions will hate this. When this grows, they are going to hate it, but they're not going to hate it because the students are suffering. They're not going to hate it because in the Constitution it says that the fundamental value is that the children are educated. They're not going to hate it because of that. They're going to hate it because you didn't pick them. They're going to hate it because the teachers that they propose to represent are able to do better on their own. That freedom actually wins at the end of the day when people who are succeeding based on their merit and are actually good at it can do that. They're free to do that. I think there's a time and place where the public schools have kind of run their course as an experiment, and some of these teachers are going to do well when they dislodge themselves from this system and they go to launch and they unbundle from that system and they go to say, hey, I can do this. I can offer that, and we'll do this and we'll do that. Go for it. By all means, get your raise. Go for it. It's there waiting for you because the options that exist are the parents' options. Parents don't exist to prop up the public schools. Public schools exist to serve the parent in educating their children. And if they're not, and you think you could do a better job as a teacher within that, well, go do that. Serve that initiative of the Constitution. Serve that parent. And if you do well, you will be accepted. Period. All right. I'm off to soapbox now, but I also look down and our time has run out. I didn't feel like this was an hour-long sermon. We just went to church or something. I don't know. I looked down and the clock is gone, Brenda. When did that happen? It's May. The year is passing by just the same.
I know.
Listen.
That's what I was saying about your children. Man, time flies. And you're going to miss those opportunities with your kids if you continue to take the easy route. And you can't go back and get those hours back, those days back. You've missed that opportunity.
There's a celebrity who is in his mid-40s. He's like 2 years older than me. I don't know if I should name him or not. I'm not going to name him. But he recently went on a podcast and was talking about how horrible it is to have kids and what a weight they are. That him and his wife, who's also in her 40s, their chances of having kids is gone. So they're looking at this and they're like, look at all the things we get to do with our life. We get to do this, we get to do that. We'd never get to do those things if we had children, if we had ankle weights holding us down. He didn't say ankle weights. I'm throwing that in there for emphasis. These are the people who are making choices for you. Celebrities like that, telling people what to think and believe, who have no interest, no idea the deep and profound fulfillment that comes from being a parent and raising a child to be a human, to be an adult, to be good, to watch them succeed, to pour into them and know that everything in life comes and goes, but that legacy goes beyond you. To know that's powerful. He'll never taste it. And there he is poo-pooing on it, And you got to remember that celebrities like this, they're the ones telling everybody what to think and what's popular and be like this. And as he rolls his joint and gets himself ready, I don't want that life. I have a completely different plan, and I should be free to exercise my version of what I think a good life is. And it has children in it. And when I'm old, it'll have grandchildren in it. And I hope it has lots of hugs and kisses and more memories and bonds and scratched knees and future educational moments and all kinds of awesome stuff like that. And I hope that for everybody who's listening in today, that you look beyond things like this and you see a lot of stuff can, like, the emotions can run high. We can be hot. We can be angry about this stuff. But see it for what it is. Stand for your rights. Take that seriously. Stand with us. Support us in the work that we do. I would love that. FLHEF.org/support. If you don't support us, we would love to have you as a supporter. But stand up for your rights in school board meetings, in conversations with local principals who don't understand that your student doesn't have to play sports at their zone school. They can play sport at the school you've chosen because you're the parent. And they haven't read a good book lately, or maybe they just haven't read the update in the statutes lately. Stand for your rights. Know what they are. If you're unfamiliar and you want a little bit of help and guidance, you want to build some confidence in that, join our Discord. We have a channel for every county. There is support waiting. There's opportunities in our Discord for people who want to take the initiative and be the front runner in your county and say, I'll help parents in my county keep up with things. By all means, we would love to have you there as well. It's time. Don't get carried away with the emotional roller coaster, but do take it seriously and do read between the lines. Do understand that this isn't a lawsuit against the state. It's a lawsuit against you, the parent, because they don't like that the state has given you your choices, that they have set in place things that allow you or that prop up your rights, not allow you, but prop up your rights and give you clear access to them, they don't like that. And we stand for you, the voice of parents in the Capitol. That's who we are, the Home Education Foundation. And that's who we're going to continue to be. That's who Brenda and Craig set us up to be. That's who they worked 40 years in legacy to protect. And that's who we're going to continue to be moving forward. Brenda, I'm going to give you last word, as I always do. Thank you for being with us today, and thank you for being a part of such an important conversation. What would you like to say as we close out?
Thank you for digging into the lawsuit. Thank you for sharing with the folks. And thank you for taking over the baton.
Yes.
Because we need a representative in the Capitol, because all of these groups are against our right to educate our own children. And we need to make sure we have a representative. Thank you, Jason, for doing that.
Thank you. All right. Without further ado, let's call it out. Thank you to the parents in the free state of Florida for supporting the work that we do. We love and appreciate that you stand with us. Thank you to our top sponsors, Arete, FPEA, Fisher Precious Metals, and TBHC Group. And without further ado, please enjoy your Monday. Take it back and take it back with memories and force. Do all of the things that you couldn't do if you were stuck in public school uniformly in that system. Stretch your wings, be free, make memories, and enjoy it.